When it comes to Pokemon, we've always seen a beautiful world filled with different and unique creatures. Pokemon has always offered us an array of different Pokemon with different typings, and all started back in Kanto. So today, what we're taking a look at is which is the best Pokemon of each type from Kanto. So let's get right into it. Yeah, keep in mind, this video is purely opinion based and for fun, so just keep that in mind. And also, 1,000 likes and we'll get a worst of each type in Kanto video. Either way, let's get into it. Starting it all off is going to be fire types. So when it comes to fire types, Kanto's actually got a lot of great choices like Arcanine and Magmar, and we can't forget, of course, Rapidash, and of course there's also Flareon. But the best fire type from Kanto is arguably gotta be our boy Charizard. Yes, I know it's one of the most popular, but also one of the most badass Pokemon of all time. Sure, it's somewhat overhyped, but Charizard is definitively the best and the most definitive fire-type Pokemon for Kanto, and it's definitely the best fire-type from Kanto in my honest opinion. I don't know about you guys, but I think it is the perfect one. So yeah, let's go to the next one. Next, we have normal types. Here it's a bit more rough to pick a best Pokemon, as there aren't that many like cool normal types in Kanto. Some of them like are pretty decent, like some of the possible choices are Tauros, Kangaskhan, Eevee, and even Porygon. But I think the one that takes home the trophy for being the best normal type in Kanto is definitely Snorlax. He's thick, he's amazing, and he's beyond a cool Pokemon. He's just awesome in general, and he also is a pretty strong boy. I mean, he's a pretty strong, like, Pokemon in general to have on your team. Sure, can loaf around a little bit, but other than that, it's a pretty strong Pokemon, and it actually got a Gigantamax recently, so I think definitely deserves the best typing for normal type. Next is water types, and here we have, of course, a huge array of options with Vaporeon, Kingler, Golduck, and even Blastoise as great choices. But I think that the one that takes the cake for being the best water type is Gyarados. This serpent-like beauty has been in the game since Generation 1 and has stayed relevant and cool since then. And the thing that makes it even better is the fact that it starts out as this wimpy little Magikarp, this useless little fish, but turns into arguably one of the most awesome and probably the best water types of all time. Then we have fighting types, and here we lack a bit in terms of the amount of options we actually have. We still got a few cool and really great stuff to take a look at. So there's like, you know, the Machop line, the many Hitmon that you can choose from, but one Pokemon that is often forgotten that I think is an amazing fighting type and definitely the best one from Gen 1 has to be Primeape. I mean, Primeape is just awesome. I mean, it looks cool, it had one of the best episodes in the Pokemon anime, and a Pokemon deserving of being the best fighting type, at least from this generation, in my honest opinion. Sure, there's a lot of good choices, but I think this one, in my opinion, takes the cake for being the best. Grass types are next, and well, you expect me to put something like Venusaur up here as the best, but I disagree. I think our boy Exeggutor takes the cake, as is the only grass type from Kanto that doesn't have the extra poison typing, but instead has a secondary psychic typing instead, making it to feel far more unique and generally like a better Pokemon. Also eventually got a bunch of love thanks to its Alolan form with its giant meme ball head and long neck, and generally speaking, I think this Pokemon takes home the cake for the best grass type. Sure, you can say it's Venusaur, but then again, I personally think it's Exeggutor. Now, when it comes to the next typing, we're looking at flying types, and there's something interesting about flying types. We actually didn't have any primary flying types in Kanto, but out of the options that existed, I think the one that takes the cake for being the best is Scyther. I mean, most of the other ones are just normal flying types, but this one gets the most interesting, like, bug flying typing to it, right? And there's a different Pokemon I put for bug typing, so I wanted to specifically put Scyther here because, yeah, Scyther's got the flying typing, which honestly somewhat makes sense, but also in another way doesn't make any sense. Either way, all I'm trying to say is, to me, Scyther takes home the cake for the best flying type. Sure, not primary typing, but none of them actually are, so Scyther takes a win. Next up is electric typing, and that's what's next. Here we have ourselves actually a lack of Pokemon, as there aren't that many electric types, but some of the options that we do have from Generation 1 when it comes to the electric typing specifically are options like Jolteon, Voltorb, and whatnot. There's a few more there. However, I think Raichu takes the prize for the best electric type in Kanto, as it's one of the strongest electric types, and it's overall just a cool and awesome Pokemon, and its pre-evolution is Pikachu, and it's literally the mascot of Pokemon. So yeah, I kind of just gotta give Raichu the win on this one, right? Sure, maybe not Pikachu. I know Pikachu's a more popular one, but I think Raichu takes home the cake because it's a pretty strong Pokemon and also a well-represented Pokemon and a pretty awesome Pokemon. Next, we have Poison types, and here, interestingly, there's also a lack of Pokemon from Generation 1 with Poison primary typing, but loads with Poison as secondary typing. But I think the Pokemon takes it home has got to be Muck. It's one of those Pokemon that takes a spot for the best Poison type, and it comes down to the simple fact that it fits the Poison typing perfectly. I mean, think about it. Muck is literally a oozing, gooey, poisonous mass of nothingness, basically. It's just a bunch of like disgusting goo, right? And it's poisonous. It just makes sense. It's the perfect mishmash, and honestly, in my opinion, I think it's definitely the best Poison type from Generation 1. Then we have Psychic types, and here we lack in the amount of Pokemon from Kanto as well, as there's really a small amount that actually were Psychic types. So what options do we have? Well, we got ourselves something like Hypno, Slowpoke, and even Mr. Mime. But I think the one that takes home the victory has got to be Alakazam. I mean, it's just a classic Psychic type and the most definitive one that you can pick. I mean, literally, it's got the spoons, it's got all that stuff. It literally fits the Psychic typing perfectly and definitely is the #1 Psychic type from Generation 1 and Kanto. What is next is Ground types, and we have ourselves a lot of options to work with here, but there is one Pokemon with the secondary ground typing that I think just has to be the best one, and that is definitely Nidoking. I mean, this Pokemon is all you need to sweep through all of Kanto, and that is enough to me to give it the #1 spot for the ground types. I mean, it just makes sense. It's literally Nidoking. It's like one of the most strong and powerful Pokemon from Kanto, if not the most powerful Pokemon from Kanto, if we don't count the legendaries. I think it's just such a super strong Pokemon, super useful in every sense of the word. This is one of the best Pokemon ever, so it takes home the spot for the best ground type from Kanto. Now next is Ice types, and here we run into a problem as there aren't almost any Ice types Pokemon in Gen 1, but we will give this one to Dugong for just being Dugong. We like Dugong. Yeah, Dugong takes this one. Here we have rock types, and honestly, Kanto had a nice mixture of rock types. Some of the classic ones, of course, are Onix and Geodude, but I think the best one is Aerodactyl, and the reason for that is it's an overall badass Pokemon. It's cool looking, it's got a cool typing, and overall also a badass design. Sure, we could give it to Onix and Geodude, as they are pretty good as well, but I think Aerodactyl specifically to me just speaks to me more, and I find that it just fits it. It fits really well with that typing, and its secondary typing fits in really well. Overall, I think it's the best rock type, so that's that. Dragon types are next, and here we have only one Pokemon, and that is Dragonite, and its evolutionary line, so I guess, yeah, Dragonite is the best one, because there's really no other option, actually. So yeah, Dragonite takes the best spot, and actually, if I was to choose here, if there were more Dragon types, I think I still would give it to Dragonite, as it's just an awesome Pokemon. Bug types are next, and here we have Pokemons like, you know, Beedrill, Venonat, etc., but I think the one that has to be the best has to be Butterfree. I mean, it's a truly iconic bug type, so it takes home the win. I mean, remember the episode where Ash got the Caterpie and how Misty was scared of it and all this stuff happened and turned into Metapod. There's a whole Metapod versus Metapod battle, eventually evolving to Butterfree and also eventually leaving Ash. I mean, it's literally one of the most iconic Pokemon bug types of all time, so it definitely is the best one. So here is our first typing without any actual Kanto Pokemon, and that is Dark typing. As it was introduced in Generation 2, it basically means there are no Pokemon for us to choose from, but just, you know, for the fun of it, we could say Alolan Raticate is the best, just for the fun, you know, like, even though technically there aren't any Kanto, like, you know, Pokemon, like, from the original Kanto, from the original Generation 1 games, there are no Pokemon from there that actually have the Dark typing because it didn't exist at the time. We could just, for fun, give it to something like Alolan Raticate, just for the fun of it. Then we have Ghost types, and there's only one Pokemon that can win this, and it's an easy win. Gengar takes it as the best Ghost type. I mean, it's literally one of the best Pokemon ever, so of course it's the best Ghost type Pokemon, but it's also like the only Ghost type from Gen 1, kind of, so yeah. But yeah, Gengar takes home the spot. It's obvious, it's one of the best Ghost types I've ever, like, that's ever existed, so of course it's going to take the win. Fairy typing is next, and here is another problem once again, as there weren't any fairy types back then. However, certain Gen 1 Pokemon have over the years gained the fairy typing, so we'll give one of those the victory, and it goes to Wigglytuff, a often forgotten, but in my opinion, awesome Pokemon. Sure, someone would say Clefairy, Clefable, etc., but I think Wigglytuff takes the win. It's just one of those Pokemon that's forgotten and needs a bit of love, and I think it's an awesome Pokemon. It's actually one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. People don't know this, but I love it. I love Wigglytuff, so I'm giving it the victory. legendary. And finally, we have the steel typing, and also again a situation where it didn't exist in Generation 1, but only in Generation 2 it was introduced. But I still think we can choose a Pokemon, and for me it has to be Magnemite or Magneton, as they gain the steel typing later at a later point, so I guess they take home the W for this one. Yeah, they're cool Pokemon, let's give them the win. So that's that one. So that is the video. I hope you all enjoyed, and if so, leave a like and subscribe for more. And if you guys do leave a like down below, then also feel free to leave a comment down below, leaving your list in the comments of which Pokemon you think are best from Generation 1. Either way, have yourselves a great day, ladies and gentlemen. And also, if we do hit, let's say 500 likes, let's say, we will do a worst Pokemon from Generation 1, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for watching. It is a great day, and bye bye, ladies and gentlemen.